Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 409 at scavengerlife.com.
So we got an interesting question from someone on YouTube.
On YouTube. Good old YouTube.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. And I guess the topic of this is working together.
Yes.
Okay, so she says, I envy how the two of you work together so well as a team.
Which also made me laugh out loud when I read it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. I'm glad people think so. And then she says, okay, my husband and I started the team thing, hoping to become full-time eBayers. We started because we wanted to do this, and then just as we were starting out, things happened. And now has forced us into, I'm assuming she means like a bad,
like a work situation, some other work situation, right?
And she says, and I'm not sure if that is why, but we can't seem to agree on much. I admit it's not just him who needs to change, learn, but being together full-time now is proving to be harder than I thought. And then she says, if you mentioned in it's this episode that the in-between things, we talked about that a week ago, the in-between work in eBay is important. And that's what we seem to disagree on. All this stuff we talked about like infrastructure.
Shipping, listing.
Yeah, all that stuff. So things such as the proper, or at least a workable inventory and storage plan, and what is needed and such. Could you perhaps do a show about those things? I can't speak for others, but I'm sure there are other people struggling with these issues. And then she ends up with, okay, what is frustrating is that I consider myself to be an intelligent person.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yep. I know that I can figure these things out when you actually go, but when you actually go to do it, and then you're dealing with someone else, it seems to make the whole thing confusing. And I feel like I'm stuck in a neutral, and it just makes things worse. And then she says, any advice and words of encouragement would be appreciated. Okay. A lot of stuff to break down.
It's a lot.
So yeah, a week ago we kind of did a topic where we were like, it's when you watch YouTube, especially. There are people like, hey, I went to this store
or wherever,
bought a bunch of stuff. I'm going to sell this for $10,000. Done. So
dude,
easy.
Yeah.
And so our point is like, if you want to sell full time, just in our experience, it's all about all the stuff that they don't show.
Right.
How do we do that? I mean,
how do we do that together?
So first off, it's great that people think we work well together. And I think ultimately we do.
We do.
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
But, people on this podcast do not hear
or see any of
our regular life. Not that we fight a lot, but it is a constant communication, butting heads.
It's constant. Because look, there's so many aspects of, like just now, right before the podcast, we're talking about something, and I'm like, what? What are you even talking about? And you're just like, what? It just, and we're just talking about some message we got on eBay. It's like...
Yeah. I mean, I think, too, we need to be very clear. Like, I think we do work well together, but we've been doing this for a long time.
But also, we okay, so here's a catchphrase. We work on working together constantly.
Right.
We are constantly like, okay, here's what would have been better. Right. We just did that this morning when we were eating breakfast. We were agreeing on something. But at
you kept, like, I was like, let's do this thing. And you were agreeing with me, but you were saying something different. No. So I need you to say, I agree with you. I just need that. I don't need you to say something totally different. Just say, I agree.
It's like both of our perspectives on the thing were so different about how we agreed that we finally just had to be like, I'm agreeing with, do you hear what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you.
So real quick, I just want to make clear. So when we first got together, 15 years ago?
Yup, it was 15 years ago.
We moved in together
right away,
really quickly.
Like in a
and
month.
Then I worked a job for a year. While you were...
I was like a freelancer trying to figure out what I'm doing.
So And so, I would go to work
Yeah.
away 8 to 10 hours a day. And then it was kind of the traditional.
Yeah,
and then
sucked.
we hated that. And then I quit my job.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, we've worked together.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for a long,
15
long time.
years,
Right.
right.
So,
Since the beginning of our relationship, too.
Right. So a lot of it just comes with experience. There's a bit of a language, unspoken language that we may have.
Right.
Well,
it's like also like she's saying they're married. I don't know how long they've been together or whatever. And they've never worked together.
Right.
But from the beginning, actually we formed our relationship as part of we were coordinating events and stuff. That's kind of how we got together. So it was it was work, it was a relationship, it was all together. So
yeah. So, if you have a partner and, you guys have traditionally just had jobs outside the house.
Separate.
And then, see each other in the evenings. That's just the way it is in the world, in America. If you're now trying to work together, there's a lot you have to learn to be together, I think,
Right. And also, if you have separate jobs in two different places, two different kinds of jobs, you might have very different styles of working in a job.
Right.
So when you come together, you're like, is that how you do it at your job? I have no idea because that's not part of my life.
A lot of it, too, is the power structure and egos.
Yeah. On both sides, not just with a man.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, just who's in charge?
Who's right?
Am I in charge? Are you in charge? For us, it works neither of us is in charge.
Right.
We work together.
Right.
And we talk about who's doing what.
Well, I think that with that power struggle, something that I tend to do, I notice you tend to do it too. And we're constantly working on this where someone will have an idea and immediately the other person's like, no way. Not even gonna listen to it. Not even gonna consider what you're talking about. And then 20 minutes later, the other person's like, actually, that's a great idea. No, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I think really the one thing that I think maybe people should take away, I mean, we're definitely not relationship experts.
Right.
But I think what works for us is we have to respect each other.
And listen. And
every so often, one of us, I can tell, kind of loses a little bit of its respect for the other person.
Okay,
just a little bit, and that's when things get, and that's when one of us has to be, and I'm not saying me or you. It's one of us has to really snap the other one out of it.
Yeah,
I don't like what's going on.
Yeah,
it's respecting what I'm saying or doing,
right?
And you need to come back, and if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you stop, it's respecting what I'm saying and doing. That starts to be a problem because no one likes to be just ridden off or someone's acting like they're hearing you but they're really not.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous thing.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the disagreements also happen when you're just, both of us are very headstrong and opinionated and ambitious. That's just our personalities. And for me, I'm like, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. This is the best way.
Right.
Not always, but, you're trying to build a life that is correct. And then you have this other person who's like, well, it's not really like that. It's kind of like this. And you're like, is it though? And then you're just kind of weaving in and out,
And also it's strange. I mean, being a man and when I'm around other men.
Yeah.
It's surprising how common it is to hear other men kind of not respect their wives.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
No kidding.
Talk about them in ways that I would never talk about you or
I think it's the same with women though. Where they're just like, men, my husband. Look, I know lots of people that do that where they're just like, they are so dumb,
It's just strange, it makes me act like, or it makes me wonder, why would you be with someone that you don't
felt that
really? Way? It's respect,
right?
Or why wouldn't you want them to be like my partner, or it's your best friend,
Yeah.
What's the It's
I mean,
strange. Look, we talk about our own parents. I mean, it's like,
right.
You know, it's not uncommon. You know,
Yeah, it's not uncommon,
people
but like
grow apart. You know,
right. But also, there's that. You know, there is a little bit of a joke sometimes when you're like, yeah, they're driving me crazy. You know, whatever.
That's different.
But you're saying something different. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Is like, you know, when people are just like. You know, yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a different.
I mean, we're
issue.
kind of getting into something else other than just being working as a team on eBay, but it does come down.
But it
to
does come
respect.
down to
so
that, yeah.
when we're talking about how to do something new, like let's take it's for instance, we have a rental business,
Yeah.
and we have 2 of them right now, and we have a laundry room, very small, about the size of a bathroom, and we have all these sheets stacked up, and now we're about to add
Another one.
a rental, which means we have to maximize space.
Yeah.
So like,
which we're doing pretty well.
so like, you know, and we always fold the laundry together.
We
Because,
fight
you know, like big
every
sheets.
time. We fight every time.
But
we're
so we need to
folding.
figure out how to organize this room
Better.
for more sheets and
Yeah.
towels, and to organize it in a better way.
Right.
And like we spent yesterday for maybe half an hour kind of talking
Debating
about
it.
Some of it was like kind of like not yelling, but like
heated, passionate debate.
asking each other to please listen to me. Like, just let's
And then we're
think
talking about
it.
laundry.
And you know,
But
because,
it's a business decision,
right?
I mean.
And you know, and it's trying to pull out emotion and ego, and you're dealing with all these things and trying to find the right answer.
Well, the other part too is that is mostly my domain. So to have someone come in and be like, it should be organized like this. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
excuse me.
See, it's funny that you say it that way. Like, I'm not coming in there ordering you to do it. I'm just like,
you're
hey,
suggesting.
there's a better way to do this.
Right.
You know?
Now, I did admit in this debate that I'm hesitant to do it because it's uncomfortable. And it's like right before the summer season. And I'm like, I have to build another system. Like right now, the system is so that me and the person who does the laundry when we're away
Right.
knows exactly what to do
Right.
by heart.
Right.
So to be like, and now the good thing is once the summer starts, we're actually not traveling for a little while.
Right.
So I can.
Right. So let's not get too
Build
deep
it.
into this thing because that's what you're doing. So let's not get too deep. But the whole
It's
point
very
is
important.
the whole point is that we discussed it,
Right.
And we ordered some new equipment. Some
We
new
did. Some shelving.
and I think we're
To help
going to
with
do
that.
it because if we don't do it now, anyway,
It was not going to
okay.
happen.
So that's a good example.
It's a good example.
People kind of saw that we were even right then just butting heads.
That was
a little
mild.
bit. But like here though, she does make a good point. Like she's admitting it's not just her husband that has to change
Yeah.
and learn, but herself also. And that's a good thing. It's not just like saying, I need you to change to fit what I'm doing.
Right.
You have to meet each other in the at the middle because it is a partnership,
Right.
ultimately.
And that's something I struggle with too. I think everybody struggles with. It's the hardest thing to say, okay, I was wrong. And your opinion on the situation was correct.
Yep. That is the most
That is the hardest thing to do.
But it's also the most powerful thing
because
is
it
to say
changes it
right is to say, look, I'm wrong. Admit it. Let's start.
Let's
from
move
here.
on.
Right. Like
because
that's
that tension is like instantly gone. You're
Right.
like, oh, okay,
right. It takes
Let's
all
just
the
move on.
tension out. Yep.
you know,
And
and it's so hard.
I like how she says here. She says like she's a smart person,
Right.
which it's most of us are.
Yeah.
And so she says, I can figure this out. It's myself. So it's easy to
Right.
figure out things on your own. But when you bring someone else in, it gets more difficult because,
Right.
like everyone wants to do it in a different way.
Right.
So I don't know.
I mean, in terms of an inventory system, I have no idea what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are things you have to decide.
Yeah. And just build it what's based on your own, an inventory that's based on what space you have and who's
Right.
pulling stuff, and, how big did you think the store is going to grow? I mean, all of those things. But we love when we see other couples who work on eBay together, or Amazon, or whatever, any kind of business, because I think it can be one of the most fun things that you can do is like
instead of working apart. Yeah.
Right. It's like making money together. I mean, it's not just the making it's money part, but like doing something where you guys can have the life you want.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not easy. I mean, there are times where it's just like, we're just like literally in the same room and I'm like chatting you on the internet because I don't want to talk in person. I'm like, let's be robots.
And that's fine too. Yeah. Like I do that a lot. I mean, like Ryan, I need to talk to the robot Ryan because I just need to talk to the business Ryan where I can just talk about some business stuff without it being attached to debt or someone who's involved in our business or this or that, you know, any kind of stress.
Well, I actually think it's good to ask that question of someone where you're like, I just need like the business robot person. Right. And if that person's like, I'm not, like there are times where I'm like, nope, not right now. Like just wait an hour and I will come back and I will.
And I can imagine, I mean, I guess because we've been doing this long enough, we've kind of taken care of a lot of issues. But if you're new and you're starting a business together, you're arguing about doing the inventory, but you could really be arguing about that thing that's a problem,
your mortgage payment or something,
or you know, thing with your kid.
Oh, that happens to us all the time.
Your mom is bugging me, but I'm really arguing. You know, you know that's the other thing is starting to really. I mean, it feels like therapy now, but really, you got to start digging down. Like, what are we really fighting about? Like, does it really matter if we keep the lamps on the third shelf or the second shelf? I mean, does it really matter, or are we really fighting about something else? Yeah.
Well, that's something you're better at it. Is there something else that's wrong that you're getting mad about? And I'm like, no, yes.
So sometimes, I mean, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of stress in this house because of like someone that wants to return a pair of pants. Like, is that really what's making you mad? And it's like, no, it's like you're some whatever. You know? Yeah. Sure. And then the final thing I'll say I think is important when you start to work together is that, I mean, we've had to learn to really stop and enjoy things. Yeah. So especially when you're first starting out, you're so nervous and scared to make sure you're working hard enough so you can make enough money to pay things. But we've learned to just, let's stop. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Let's go watch a movie. Or, or
yesterday, like we just, it's a Saturday and I actually got a bunch of stuff done, but we were like, let's watch a bunch of Grand Designs. Yeah, let's just watch a bunch in the middle of the day, just make some popcorn and chill. Right. And that was really nice.
Let's go into town and take a walk along the creek.
Yeah, stuff like that. Where you're like, we're going to do something for an hour that's not work related. And for us, we're like, what?
It doesn't have to cost anything.
Yeah, just go take a breath.
Let's enjoy ourselves. Or we just take a walk around our neighborhood. It's about a 2-mile walk.
In a circle.
Around our neighborhood. And in the evening times when it's cool, it's just nice to like get, and we actually end up talking about
business
and work,
ideas,
but you're kind of away from it,
and you don't have to talk. You're not like, this is a business meeting. You're like, whatever. We're just taking a breath, which is nice. So I think people who work together and work freelance and work on eBay consistently forget to do that. I do it all the time. I mean, like you've had to be like, come on, get out of the house.
Yeah, like it is ironic how, people say, oh, I want to quit my job and, having to work for someone else. But, I think anyone that's successful on their own, you probably
work twice as much.
You probably work more for it yourself than you do for someone else. But at the same time, it's kind of a word game. I mean, is it really all work? I know. I mean, a lot of the stuff we do, it doesn't feel like work. It's like, it's our thing.
Look, I mean, I know friends who work in actual offices and I hear about their day and I'm like, couldn't do it. Yeah. So I'd rather work twice as hard for myself and have that freedom. And it's scary, There are things that go wrong with the rentals sometimes where we're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
You know, I don't have anyone to tell me what to do here. So
yeah. I mean, I think that's the scariest thing about going to business for ourselves is like there's no guarantee. There's no. I mean, I don't want to say there's no wrong or right answer, but like it's just you have to do what's right or what seems right, and then you have to really keep an eye on, is this a working?
Right.
And as soon as it looks like this is not a working, we have to change.
Right.
You know? And, that's can be scary, especially at first.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about specifically eBay.
Specifically
Especially eBay.
Yes.
I did not really see much eBay news kind of in the forum or on the internet.
You mean after the seller update? I mean, people were like, yeah, this is stuff we already knew, which is great.
And I guess for me, when I see stuff like that, when like you always think the other shoe's going to drop, but it doesn't look like it's going to. So it seems like there's really no changes that have to happen.
Yeah.
And managed payments seem like they're far enough away where we don't really have to worry too much about it for right now.
For the moment,
So
yeah.
that's good.
When is managed payment starting? Do you remember? Is it?
I'm always afraid to talk about things like this because I don't really know. I mean,
sure.
I'm please people don't take me as the official source of eBay news, but I feel like eBay and PayPal had a contract through the end of 2021. So
that long?
but I could be wrong.
Okay,
Maybe it's 2020.
I won't ask. I'll look it up because.
But I think by the end of a year they're going to start making real moves,
like rolling it out.
We'll see. I mean, the perfect time, I think it would be Christmas. Just roll it out.
The perfect time would be
roll it out at Christmas.
Right before Thanksgiving, right before Cyber Monday. Do it then.
Do a forced adoption right then.
Just like all the bugs that could possibly happen.
I think that's the best way. Yeah, why not?
Like giving customers, barriers to pay is great.
Right. Okay, gut reaction to the week, Ryan.
Good,
go.
Very good.
Very good.
$2,000.
Okay.
I hope that's correct. We had some good sales yesterday.
So we had a really good week, comparatively, I mean, no, sorry. I won't even qualify it. We had a good week.
Okay, tell me the number.
We made almost $2,400.
Yes! Yeah. Yes!
So that is almost like $250. I mean, sorry, that's almost $350 a day.
Look, it felt like that. There were some things where I was like, that just sold for $150, full price, no offer.
Now,
great.
What's interesting, so we sold 51 items and only 6 of those items were like about clothes.
Okay.
So very small.
It was the week before, it was like all clothes.
It was mainly all these wacky, weird vintage, houseware, antique stuff.
So weird.
Yesterday, we had an $850 day, which is a lot of money for us.
That's a big day.
Right.
If we're making $500 to $1,000 a day on certain days, you're like, what is going on?
And when we're having a day such as that, it feels so good.
Oh, it feels great.
And the only thing we talk about is like, how do we keep
I want it like that every day.
What's happening?
It's never like
and
that
the thing is, we can never plan for a day like that. All we can do is list as much as we can. So the odds are in the favor that these days will happen as often as they can. I mean, who knows why we had, we sold 8 items. And 3 of those items were between $100 and $300. Why we had 8 people want all these weird, wacky items, and they were willing to pay a lot of money for them and not
give offers.
Great.
Like, this is great. Love those people.
So it's great.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yep. So things we sold. For instance, we sold a ginger jar.
Okay,
ginger jar.
We didn't sell the jar.
Right.
So we had all these vases and ginger jars that we bought at
Just
auction.
Google it. It's a thing.
It's a thing. Okay, ginger jar is very popular right now. And one of them had a carved wooden top. Didn't look like anything to me. I'm like, whatever. It's a carved wooden top. Whatever. This person keeps asking me about it over the week. What are the measurements? What are the blah, blah, blah. I gave them the measurements were there, basically. And they were like, will you sell just the top?
Well, first she said, "You're right. Sorry.
Will you sell just the top?" And I was like, no, because it's so annoying because I have to retake photos.
Absolutely
and
not.
The person wants to pay $20. I have the vase up for almost $300 because it's gorgeous. So I'm like, no. And she says, if I pay full price, will you just send me the top?
And the answer is
yes.
Absolutely. Right. So she's in Sweden, so she didn't want the entire thing because it'd be very expensive to ship like a delicate vase. So she paid full price just for us to send her
the wooden top.
A wooden top.
Why? Yeah. I have no clue.
Great.
Happy to take a rich person's money.
Yep. It's great.
Like that.
Awesome.
High
five.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't understand sales like that. I'm like, what just happened? Okay, fine. Yep. I'm shipping it. It's people what you asked for.
And their extra income.
Yeah, disposable
income. We sold a lace tablecloth.
It's not lace. It's cotton and linen, but it's some made in France. It's a French designer. Yep. I have no idea what it is.
$180.
$180 full price.
People have to care about.
Tablecloth.
Yep. It was great.
Love it.
Yep.
Couldn't love it more.
We sold some teacups, like 4 teacups for $60.
It was teacups and a creamer. Right. So they gave me an offer of 40 on the teacups and 20 on the creamer. I was like, great.
Not only is he a money great, I love selling that kind of stuff.
China and porcelain and
China
glass.
And porcelain. Comes in big boxes.
People think it's garbage.
And if you're smart enough to pull it all apart and look up the brands. And she even said, I just completed my set.
Right.
Thank you.
Because I messaged her and said I have 3 other pieces that match. And she's like, I only needed the teacups and the creamer for my set. Which is exactly why I break things up.
And if you look at replacements.com.
They made a whole...
Are they in Alabama?
No, they're in Greensboro, North Carolina.
That's
We
right.
visited there.
Yeah. They have made a multi-million-dollar business just
selling replacement China.
So it's a thing. We sold like a military black rain jacket for $22. Who cares? Big deal. Well, I'll tell you why it matters.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
We talked about it, I don't know, a month or 2 ago. I actually bought an online auction, which we don't do
military
very often.
surplus.
I think it was, $90? We drove 3 hours away.
I think it was 120.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 3 hours from us down the highway. It wasn't a bad drive.
Had a fun trip down there, and we loaded up the car. Like we took our hatchback, and it's like a little truck, really.
Yeah.
But we filled it full.
We knew it would fit, though.
I know, but it was more than I thought it was. So it was hundreds and hundreds of pieces of military gear.
It wasn't hundreds of pieces.
Hundreds and hundreds.
I mean, look, it was 3 different jackets.
Right.
There were trenches, wool coats. Actually, it could be a couple hundred.
It's probably at least a couple hundred. Anyway, so we sold 3 of these now for $22.
3 or 4?
4, yeah. So we're making our money back slowly, and it's going to be like a little pipeline.
It's a little pipeline. It's honestly an annoying...
It's a pipeline.
It's an annoying pipeline to me because the problem was with these coats were it wasn't just like 20 44 regulars. It was like 144 regular.
See, I think that's
138 regular.
We don't do that very often. I don't know how I ended up on this site, but I was like,
it was liquidation.gov or whatever.
I think someone mentioned it on
it was on a podcast.
Forum. I bought stuff off the site again, right? And
it was on a podcast, and we were like, yeah, let's check out the liquidations again. And I'm like, this is why we don't do them.
I'm like $100 for all this stuff, but the problem is that if it was 300 jackets, they're all large, they're all in good shape. I mean,
that's it. And that's never what it is.
That's never what it is. It's like 16 different sizes.
Right.
Some of them have liners, some of them don't. Some have marks, so you have to
look, it was
not easy.
It was
we'll make money.
It was so complicated. I didn't have our helper do it because I was like, she's gonna be like, what is going on here? But the beautiful thing about those,
I love beauty.
Just did variations.
Yep.
We were like, here's the jacket. It comes in 7 different sizes.
Whose idea was that?
It was your idea.
Thank you.
It was your idea. And it actually saved me a crap load of time.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, these are the sizes. Yeah. That's it. Look, I didn't even measure them. I'm like, 44 regular. If that's what you wear and that's what buy that one. Right. I'm not measuring it.
There you go.
I'm just not going to.
Anyway,
and they've been selling.
Net to you, money will be made.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Delft tile. $180.
Okay, Delft tile.
What is a Delft tile?
Delft tile is a piece of tile from the Netherlands, and it is old.
It's like that white and like
white and blue. Yeah,
and it's got famous. Like, you know, like a
image of a dog or like a person. This one had a house on it,
cobbler on it or something.
So
why do you think this one? Is it real?
It's real.
How do you know it's worth?
So Delft tiles. So we've been to the Netherlands a bunch,
right?
And we like Dutch art and antiques and stuff like that. We think it's cool. So when we were in the Netherlands, there are shops in Old Town Amsterdam, and they sell the tiles. And I've looked at them, and I've held them, and I've measured them, and I've felt what the pottery feels like and what it looks like.
If it's thicker.
Yeah, if it's thicker, if it's this size, whatever. So I'm like, here's one from the 1950s. Here's one from the 1650s. Right. Like, you can tell the difference.
Did you think really that old?
I think the one that I sold was either from the 1700s or 1800s.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
In Amsterdam, that's very new. They're like, that's new. That's not an old tile. Whatever.
See, I'm going to give out a free idea here. So, you know, these tiles they're images of just everyday
life,
people in life. So it's like, you know, a milkmaid or like a cobbler or like a blacksmith.
Yeah.
I feel like they should make them with like a modern day
like
images.
Contemporary,
like a guy with headphones.
You could
like
do
a skateboarder, you know, like
look, I bet,
and then put that in your house. It would be so luxe, you know.
Okay. So I bet those exist. If you look it up, you should look it up. Modern Delft tiles. You're gonna okay. So anyway, I agree. I think that'd be very cool. But so a lot of people collect them,
and we could be in the Whitney Biennial with these things, right? Okay,
it's funny you mentioned that. Okay,
a couple more things, and then we'll go. Where this is way too long. A metal top to an antique cooking pot. $90.
Okay.
So weird.
Right. So this is made of copper and made of cast iron.
Yep.
It is got a stamp on it from a company in New York City from like the late 1800s. Right. So you're like, someone's putting this on their wall.
And the cool thing is that to a lot of people, they would see this and like the way we bought it. It just comes in a box because it just looks like what a piece of junk, you know?
It's just
but the great thing is someone else sees it and they're like, I'm going to hang it on the wall, and it's this beautiful decor.
So that's a great sale.
A hanging like tin lamp for $100.
Okay, so this lamp was, I think, either handmade out of tin cans, but it's beautiful in either Africa or South America. I've seen the same.
It's like hammered
and welded and cut, and it looks very brutalist. Like, it's very cool. We sold that for $100.
Nice.
It took the guy forever to pay, so I was afraid he wasn't going to pay, but he did.
Yep.
Or she, whoever.
Yeah. The person.
The
human being. And then I had talked about, we went to a thrift store and I saw 2 brand new wrapped toner cartridges.
Xerox for like a big...
$5 each.
$5 each.
I went back to our Amazon days.
Scanned it
in the store.
Yeah.
They said that they sold for like $80. We bought them. We sold one for $60.
I made it lower because there were a bunch.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to be a competitive price.
That's a nice sale.
It's a great sale.
I always loved when we were selling on Amazon for that short period of time when people would, I don't know if people still hear us and do it, but they would say, yeah, I love it because I'll just go, I'll go to the thrift store, I'll buy the stuff, and I'll sit in the parking lot.
And list it.
And I'll scan and list it. Yep. And then it gets sold by the time I get home. I'm making money.
I'm making $1 million.
But it's kind of true because
that's kind of what it was like.
Listed it that way.
Well, I listed it, so it was funny because you put it in the pile for our helper to take photos of. I'm like, it's new in box. I'm just going to show it from like the catalog, whatever, and it doesn't because I'm just looking at a box.
I thought like eBay made that illegal.
I don't know because I've done it before, and
people do it.
It's just they're not like takedown notice. I'm like, okay.
Okay, Scavenger of the week. We did go to a thrift store and just got I
bought a lot of shoes
and butter.
I found a lot of shoes.
Yep, Madden Girl. I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Okay.
What kind of store are we running here?
Okay, I found Madden Girl shoes, which I've sold before. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
But I had to give them back to the thrift store because they were actually in worse shape than I thought when I bought them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a bummer, but
it was fine.
But we went to another thrift store and I was finding a lot of like China, and cookware and stuff like that. But I'm like, I sell that stuff.
Yep. Well, it's like one of those thrift stores where they just have like a wall of stacks,
glass and China.
Stacks of stuff, and everyone just ignores it
because they're like garbage.
Sometimes it's fun. You start just going through one by one, and you'll find like this special one plate that has a weird.
I sold a plate. Look, this is not this thrift store run, but it was a thrift store run before it. I found a plate that apparently was from the U.S. Navy in World War II. It had like a little anchor on it by Shenago. It's like in Pennsylvania. And I was like, oh, this is just a cool like hipster plate. It sold in like 10 minutes for $30.
Yep.
I'm like, great.
Nice.
Love it.
Cool. Customer issues. Okay. Let me tell you the quick story. Buyer will make an offer, or they did. They made an offer. We countered. Buyer countered us. We accept it for $15. We're like, okay, we'll take $15. It's like a little souvenir pin. Buyer immediately writes and says, can I get some more photos of this thing? I think this item is damaged.
It's a pin.
You just made all these offers and we just accepted it. Like, it's bought. The sale's done.
They don't care.
Yeah. So basically, it's not going to happen. They're not going to get more pictures. Like, cheap buyers are really the worst.
Cheap buyers are the worst.
They like get you down. They like, want all this money. And then even when they get their discounts, there's something wrong with it. So I don't want them to pay.
You don't want them to buy it.
I don't want them to buy it.
Right.
And it's fine because they're going to send it back. Right. So don't pay.
No doubt.
But I just don't understand why would you be making offers
and then ask the question
and you buy it and then suddenly, I got all these questions about this item I just bought.
And like you said, it's a souvenir pin. Right. So there's 3 photos and you're like, what other photo could I send you but the front, back, and someone holding it for size? Yeah. Like what other photo can I send you that shows it differently?
And then it's one other thing happened during the week. A buyer makes an offer.
Yeah.
We accept.
Right.
They don't pay. They don't say anything.
Unpaid item
They don't say, I'm having trouble. I'll do it in a week. They just don't say anything. Automatic
relist.
Yeah. We block the buyer. We always do that.
I just block them because I'm like...
We get an offer on this thing.
With a person with 0 feedback. In the same zip code.
And it's a really weird item. I know it's that person. And he keeps, I'm assuming it's he offers under what he first paid. And I'm like, nope, I know it's you. No. I'm going to make you pay more. Yeah. And so he wouldn't accept my counter offers. So he finally wrote back.
He finally wrote us a message. Hey, I had trouble.
Original one, being like, I meant to pay. I couldn't pay. There was a problem. And all we said was, just pay us what you originally were going to.
Right.
And it's good to go.
Which was like $43.
And he made the offer for what he originally had offered. We accepted. He paid immediately. It's fine. Just weird.
It's just funny. We were having the conversation with him like, okay, just offer what you offered before. Like, what is the problem? And like you said, all of this could have been avoided if they were like, I'm having trouble paying. I'll pay you in a week. And we're like, great. Right.
I'll send you.
Wait.
I'll do a money order. I don't know.
Yeah, just any.
We're very.
So it's something you always say where you're like, there are people who have chaotic lives. This guy probably didn't check his email for a week and a half, which is foreign to us because I check my email every 5 seconds. Right. So you're like, what? But just other people's lives are different.
Okay, things we learned in the forum.
Yes.
Other things we learned in the forum.
More forum.
We always learn
forum.
Someone came on and they asked, and it was a good bunch of answers.
Very good answers.
The answer was like, and I hate this question, but like, what's your why?
What's your why? We always make fun of people that say that, but
it's just kind of corny. But
what's your why?
Basically, like, why do you do this?
Why do you do this? What is your purpose?
Yeah, what's your, and people,
life purpose.
Lots of scavengers were giving their answers, and I think almost all of it came down to people want to own their own time.
I want my time.
It's like, I worked a job. I really hated it.
Yeah.
I was underpaid,
Right.
underappreciated.
Yep.
Now I can run my own business.
Well, I can
and
have,
it feels good.
I can have my own time. I can have
Right.
my own business. I can be around my family.
Right.
That's a huge one.
Right.
You know?
And it's interesting because I like to hear that because, I mean, we all like to make money just because money's a tool to just do what you want. That's what buys our time.
Right.
But, you know, it's interesting. I've never heard someone say, I sell an eBay because I want to get rich.
Because you won't.
Because, but what does a rich mean? Just rich in a money, big bank account? Or is it just rich in time? And I think that's really, I'm glad that everyone is kind of getting down to the core. It's about time. But then in that same thing, the same guy was like, well, and he was asking me specifically.
Yeah, this is a good question.
Because I don't know, I guess I don't want to come across that way, but you know, he basically asked me like, why don't you want nice stuff? Because I guess it's when I talk, he thinks I'm making fun of people who want nice things. Or
he was like, why are you judgmental of people who want nice cars and a big house?
And I definitely don't want to ever come across that way. I mean, if people want like nice cars and big houses, and that's totally cool. My whole thing is like, for us, it's not a good strategy, to own our own time. Like, if we wanted to have exactly what it's wanted, and I think we're in agreement here, we would want a Tesla.
Or want an electric car.
Because it's the only electric car that has enough mileage and is so awesome that it's worth.
And I want to charge it on a big solar system in our backyard.
Right. And I would love to buy an apartment in New York. In Manhattan.
Those are the fancy things that I would want.
And strangely, I've done the numbers. We could actually afford both of those things if we did nothing else for probably the next 20 to 30 years. You know?
If you did nothing else but pay for those things.
Right. Everything we did for the next 20 or 30 years would go to paying off those two things.
Yes.
And so...
Right. What's the choice? You're like, do I want to do that?
But I'm like, do I really want them that badly?
Right.
You know? Like, right now I feel like we still live a luxurious life. But we also can use all the cash we have to do cool things.
Right.
Like buy buildings and hopefully affect change in our community.
Which is more important to us.
Yeah, like help change a small town, like get involved. I mean, you know.
Which is what we do.
Put our money where our mouth is. Like, we're like our downtown, like there's nothing here, all these boarded up buildings. I'm like, well, let's put our money where our mouth is, you know?
We're like STFU, do something about it.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, like that. Look, we bought a house, we live in it. We bought another house, we made a business. We bought another house, we made a business, and then we were like, we focused our sights onto Main Street.
And in the meantime, as far as we love the challenge of having a luxurious life in quotes,
air quotes,
but doing it on the down low. You know. Buying things for a lot cheaper because you buy it cheap off of Craigslist.
Yep.
Or, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no way I would ever buy a brand new Tesla.
Right.
That would never, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So, okay.
So we're going to wait 5 more
years until they're used.
When there's enough used ones on the market where we could probably snag one. Probably still pretty expensive, but a little more affordable.
But, you know, I think it's all about the choices.
Right.
Where you're like, it's not about, you know, not making money. I'm not like, you should live in poverty. Like, okay, hold on.
Okay.
You know, here we are. It's like, what do I want to accomplish with this resource? Do I want a fancy handbag? No, I don't. Do I want to change the HVAC in this building for the same price? Yes, I do.
Right.
So it's a choice. Something you said to me this week, you're like...
What did I say?
You were like, well, we don't have the choice. I mean, of renovating a building and buying a Tesla. You choose one of those with the resources we have.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that I think most people hearing this are probably, it's like us. We aren't poor.
Right.
We have a money, but we have to be very careful what we do with that. Because, it's not like, I think there are some people that have enough money, access to capital, where they can basically make multiple choices.
Right. I want this, fine. This, and this.
Right. We cannot own our own time.
Right.
And be building a business and have a lot of really nice brand new things.
Right.
It's just impossible.
Yeah, we can't. Well, Paula Pant says you can afford, what is it? You can afford anything, but you can't afford everything at the same time.
It's a good saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not like, oh, look at that. Although sometimes I am like, I mentioned I know someone whose step-parents bought a really expensive boat, like...
It's like a mini, I don't know if it's a yacht.
It's
like
not a yacht. She explained it wasn't, but she's like, it's a 4-bedroom, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what?
That sounds like a yacht.
She said they spent $350,000 on it. First of all, I'm like, you better check that number because that's an insane number to pay for a boat.
Seems crazy.
And also, I could do so many things with that amount of money. But, so you do judge people a little bit where you're like, what did they do?
Well, or it's, for instance, and again, this isn't where we're judging people. It's more just making comments on the strategy and how it wouldn't work for us. So, for instance, we have a guy who's helping us on our building. He's a talented, plumber guy, and he's older, and him and his wife, built their, dream home. You know? And they hand built it
themselves. They designed it.
It's on a nice piece of land, and it's great. And then he's telling me he just found a better piece of land
nearby,
about a mile away. But it's got a better view. I'll give him that. But he's like, I want to buy that and build another house,
another dream house.
I'm just like, you're 65 years old. Why? You have a great house. Is it really worth spending another 3 years building a whole new house? And it's just but again, his goals are different from ours. His goals just might be I like working on houses and I want that view for the end of it's my life. I don't know. But that kind of strategy, I'm like, why don't you take the money you would do that and do something else?
Do something else. I mean...
But again, that's it.
Well, choice. Everybody has their own choices. But like we said, those are our choices. We're I want nice things.
Right.
Totally.
And just to wrap this up
wrap it up.
Partners in this business, this is what we talk about a lot. We talk about our numbers. We talk about what we want. We talk about what we can afford,
I mean, look, we flew to Chicago for fun last week. It was cheap-ish, and we're going up to New York for whatever. So you're like, that to me is pretty luxurious. A lot of people couldn't do that.
But we're doing it on the cheap.
Super cheap, of course.
Like we talked about when we go up to New York on Wednesday on the train, we're going to pack all this frozen food with us. Because
we have a cooler.
Because it's really expensive to buy it there, so we'll save, $100.
Okay, that is it for the podcast this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discussed and to join the conversation on the forum. If you want to join the forum, you can go to scavengerlife.com/forum. And when you sign up, you need to email us so I know you're not a spam bot. You can call and leave a question on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us an audio file from your phone. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, currently being brought to you by Steven Schultz. You can support us on our Patreon account, which is on our sidebar, for as little as $5 a month. You can subscribe for free through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. You can buy our archive of 5 years worth of podcasts, so you can download it and listen to it offline. That is the download all link on our sidebar. We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1. Bye.